It's a great time to be a Cane. We got Manny Montana running things. He brings over Dan Enos to run the offense. Trayvon Hill, Tate Martell, Bubba Bolden, all coming through the transfer portal. Jeff Thomas coming back. A lot of good things are happening for the Cane, and I'm talking about the 2019 Miami Hurricanes expectations with the special guest, Kyle from CANECAST. Let's get it.
With the squad, mess with one of us, you ain't messing with my vision, messing with the money, you ain't messing with this.
What's up, guys? Welcome to NMD TV. No more defeats TV. All we do is win, never take any losses. And shout out to all my bosses. Guys, this is a clip of a 60-minute interview that I did with Kyle, just talking about straight Miami football, breaking down a lot of what's going on with Canes football. If you want that, along with a whole lot of film breakdown and other exclusive content, just go to patreon.com/NMDTV. Join the Patreon squad, help the channel grow, and support the grind. And also, make sure you check out the CANECAST podcast hosted by Kyle. You're going to see this guy knows his football. He knows his Miami Hurricanes football. So do that and enjoy the video, guys. Much love. Guys, today we're talking Miami football, and I got a special guest. I got Kyle from the CANECAST podcast, one of the up-and-coming podcasts talking about Miami Hurricanes football. Kyle, go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us about your podcast, man.
Yeah, man. So my name is Kyle Hynett. I run the CANECAST podcast. You can look it up on Twitter. Our Twitter page is just Cane, C-A-N-E, Cast, C-A-S-T 6. You can follow us on Twitter. And I think we are on Spotify, iTunes, and Podbean. If any of you guys got that, you can just look up CANECAST, and you should be able to find us. We're about 2 episodes in. We're working on getting the third one posted, working on some audio issues. But once we get that situated, we'll be ready to go. And we just talk anything Miami football, man. You know.
Okay. Tell me this. What are the expectations for the Miami Hurricanes to you? You know, what's a successful season to you, and what's a failure to you?
I think it's kind of a balance. I think I wouldn't. A 7-5 or down is an absolute failure. At 8-4, you can debate it. I wouldn't be happy with 8-4. But
with this schedule, come on!
I
listen to your podcast.
No. This isn't my prediction. I'll give you my prediction. I'm just saying, when you're saying what's a failure, I think 8-4 could be considered a failure. It could. 9-3, 10-2 is where I would put my money. I would say on paper it's an 11-1 season, but we don't. Time
out. How is 8-4 not a failure with this schedule?
I'm saying you can make that argument. To me, I would think it's a failure, but
I think
listen. Okay, look at this. Nick Saban, year 1, 6-6. Okay,
but look at the schedule. Look at who we're playing.
Wait. 6-6. You know who he lost to his first year at Alabama? Sure, he didn't have all the talent he has now. He lost to UNL Monroe. Was he less talented than UNL Monroe at Alabama? No. And Nick, is he a bad coach? No. He just went 6-6. You look at Kirby Smart with all that talent in year 1, 6-6. You look at Dabo Swinney, probably one of the best coaches in football, probably right behind Nick Saban. In year 3, he went 5-7. You know what I mean? So it's just one of those things when you're trying to mesh a new coordinator, a new defensive coordinator, a new quarterback, a lot of sophomores on the offense. You're trying to do a lot. Now, I'm not saying 8-4 is going to happen. I'm not saying it should happen. You know, they should. I know you're not saying it, but if it does happen, I say, well, hey, Kyle, Nick Saban had a bad first year. That's going to make you be like, okay. I would say, look, you got to give him more time. You just got to get. I mean, I would be concerned for sure, but I wouldn't go, that's an absolute failure, and we should already be considering firing him. If he goes 6-6 or 7-5 with the schedule, I'm going to be like, yo, we're in trouble. But I'm not going to panic on 8-4.
If we go 8-4 with this roster, if we go 8-4 against, that means if we lose 4 games, let's break it down. That means we lose to Florida. That means what? Pitt,
You lose to
Virginia
Florida
Tech,
State. You lose to
and
Pitt in the
Florida
cold.
State.
You could. I mean, listen. Florida, you're probably going to lose.
That would be a disaster.
Florida, you're probably going to lose. Florida State's a coin flip. Hate Florida State all you want. They're going to be better than last year, and you're playing them at home. And we almost got beat last year at our house. So that's a coin flip. It's a rivalry. And then so all you need is 2 more losses. And now, granted, listen, when I did my breakdown on my podcast, and I said it's going to be 9-3 or 10-2. That's what I said. That's what it's going to be. But we're just simply discussing if it's a failure and how could that be possible. I'm saying you lose both your rivalry games, which is definitely possible. Maybe you slip up against Pitt as usual in the cold, and then somewhere between Virginia being a halfway decent team, a Louisville team whose new coach Scott Satterfield lives on upsets, and he's been coaching at App State all these years, and now he's got more talent to use. That could, that could possibly be a lot. I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's a very low chance 8-4. I would say 9-3, 10-2.
Okay, and and this is just me, and this is just looking at the schedule and looking at the talent. I say 10 wins is I'm okay if we win 10 wins, then I'm happy with that. If we win more than that, I'm excited. If we win 9, then I'm like, man, we missed the opportunity.
Sure, you did, but I think even if you win 9, you're still going to the ACC championship. You know what I mean? Like your biggest
we're
competition
winning the Coastal. Okay,
exactly, and that's a failure to me. Is you don't win the Coastal this year. That's a failure for sure.
Okay.
And 8-4 could mean you don't make it. So in that sense, if you don't make it to the Coastal, sure, that's a failure. Because yes, it is a very weak schedule. But I'm also saying the only reason I'm saying it's debatable is because it's year 1 with all these guys. Because you also got to think about this. We assume the defense is going to be top 5. We assume that's just how it's got to be. But you lost a bunch of guys on your defense, especially your entire defensive backfield. And Diaz is not the defensive coordinator. Now, if there's issues, sure, he'll step in and handle it. He'll oversee it. But Blake Baker's the defensive coordinator. And he's the guy that's going to call his own shots, his own plays, new wrinkles. Listen, if you're top 5, it's hard to really improve on that. You know what I'm saying? So we assume that's just where we're going to be next year, and we should because, again, a weak schedule. But let's say this. If we were ranked 100th in the nation in defense last year, and then this year Blake Baker takes us to 18th, we'd be praising him about how he's the greatest defensive coordinator ever, blah, 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 blah. But we were 5th last year, or 4th, or whatever. If we're 18th by the end of the year, is he a failure? Is he going to be? And I know I'm jumping around a little bit.
Yeah, but, I mean, I think it just comes down to wins and losses because let's say we drop a little bit in our defense, but our offense goes up.
Absolutely.
I think it just comes down to are we winning?
I think where you got to look is 2016, Mark Richt's first year. His offense wasn't gonna, and I don't think it will be better than what we're gonna see next year with Enos, right? But it was new. He had a decent quarterback in Brad Kaya, and Miami was average at every position. We weren't top 5 in 2016. We were top 25. And we had an average offense that just turned out like we did the last 2 years. And our punter could punt the ball 40 yards. You do that, and you lost 4 games. You went 8-4 just doing that alone, and your schedule was far tougher. And even in the losses that you had 3 of those 4 losses, a combined 11 points. So you barely even lost those games. And the games you did win, you blew teams out. You put 40 on Duke, 51 on Pitt. You won 31-14 against the second best team in the Big 12, like West Virginia. So you had huge wins. So I think next year, there's going to be a lot of big wins over teams. If all we got to do is be top 50 in offense and maintain a top 25 defense, which we will, and I think they'll do great. So.
Okay, so back to the expectations. What is your prediction right now? What does Miami? What's our record? Who do we lose to? Do we win a bowl or lose a bowl? Just prediction right here. Early prediction. Things can change obviously, but just a way too early prediction.
My way too early prediction would be, and man, I'm torn on 9-3 and 10-2. That's where I'm torn at. I would say you go 10-2, I'd say you go 9-3. Let's just say we had a slip up somewhere, some injury, something like that. You go to the the ACC championship. You lose to Clemson. You go to your bowl game. It just depends who you play. I think we need to get that win. But I think Miami this year will win the Coastal. I think they will go to the ACC championship game. It's going to be huge if we can make that game competitive. But you'll probably lose that, and then you go to your bowl game, and hopefully we can win it. And I think they can. I think by then they'll have enough grasp of the offense to win a bowl game. I definitely think that will happen. So I think at the end of this year, we're going to have, I think we'll have 11 wins at the end of the year. Or
Okay,
10 wins, 10 or 11.
Okay, with 3 losses?
Yeah, I think if you go 9-3, then you'll be
9-3 with the bowl win. So who's our 3 losses?
Florida. I think that Florida State's a possibility. And yeah, I'm saying what's possible and what I predict. I need to be more.
Right.
I need to make a stance.
Go ahead and predict it, my man. Predict it. It's way too early.
I'll give you my prediction. I think we'll go 10-2. We'll lose to Florida, and then down the line, either it's going to be a Florida State loss or it's going to be a Pitt Louisville loss. I think Miami's going to blow Duke out. I'm telling you, Scott Satterfield thrives on this, and if we lose I'm telling you, I would pick Louisville beating Miami before Virginia, before Duke, before any of those guys. Huh?
You're gonna pick Louisville before Virginia over Virginia Tech?
Yeah, I would. Virginia Tech. Listen, Miami's blown them out 2 years in a row.
You're right.
And Virginia, and they play us at home. Virginia literally was the most overhyped team I've ever seen in my life. They've got a good coach, but they just lost a defensive back to the Richmond Spiders. So we're sitting here talking about a not very talented team whatsoever, and
they had
an athletic quarterback.
They lost several players to the transfer portal. So, but man, Kyle, I really appreciate this, man. I appreciate you taking time out of your day. This was an amazing conversation, amazing content. And just tell the people where they can find you on Twitter. Tell them how they can find your podcast, because as they already heard, you know your stuff. And let them know.
Yeah, man. So you can follow us again on Twitter. The handle will be CANECAST, CANECAST. Leave the S out. If you look us up on iTunes, I believe there is a hockey team somewhere called Canes with an S, Cast. They got a red logo. Ours will have the football, palm trees, all that. So you can look us up on Twitter, CaneCast6, for the 6 championships we should have. And you can listen to us on the podcast at CaneCast.
Awesome. And I'll definitely put all that information on the screen. I'll put it in the description. You guys go check Kyle out. And as always, guys, no more defeats.